Section 12. The short sale contract and lender approval. The buyers want to know what they actually have. Daniel meets Marcus and Elena at his office the morning after Ashley tells him David's transaction may require short sale approval. Marcus has already spent half the night searching online, which Daniel quickly realizes may not have helped. Marcus believes the lender now controls the entire sale. Elena thinks their contract is meaningless until the lender signs it. Both want Daniel to tell them exactly how long approval will take. Daniel explains that the first thing they need to do is separate two relationships that are operating at the same time: the contractual relationship between Marcus, Elena, and David, and the separate approval David may need from one or more creditors before the transaction can successfully close. This distinction is critical. David owns the property and has accepted the buyer's offer. The lender does not automatically become the seller simply because David requests a short sale. However, if David needs the lender to accept less than the amount otherwise required to satisfy its secured claim and permit the contemplated closing, the lender's cooperation may become essential. That is why the purchase contract and any applicable short sale addendum matter so much. They establish how the buyer and seller will handle the uncertainty created by the outstanding creditor approval. A short sale adds another layer to the contract. Imagine you're representing Marcus and Elena. They ask, "Are we under contract or aren't we?" This is where an agent should resist giving a quick answer based on how another short sale worked 3 years ago. Review the actual executed documents. The Arizona Realtor Short Sale Addendum, when used, is designed to address important issues unique to transactions requiring creditor approval. The specific rights, obligations, approval periods, and cancellation provisions depend on the current form and the terms actually agreed upon by the parties. This is why experienced brokers tell agents not to manage a short sale from memory. Forms change. Parties negotiate terms. Counteroffers can modify provisions. An addendum can change how another portion of the transaction operates. The answer is in the contract file, not in what happened on your last deal. Lender approval is more than hearing, "It looks good." A week later, Ashley receives a call from someone working with David's loan servicer. The representative says the file has been received and adds, "Everything looks pretty good so far." David is thrilled and immediately calls Ashley. He wants her to tell Marcus and Elena that the short sale has been approved. A positive conversation with a lender representative is not the same thing as receiving the written approval required for the transaction. Short sale approval can contain conditions. The lender may establish an acceptable purchase price, specify a deadline for closing, restrict payments to particular parties, limit seller proceeds or concessions, require updated financial information, or impose other conditions. If there is a second lien, that creditor may have a separate approval process. An approval from one creditor does not automatically mean every obstacle has disappeared. The practical broker rule is simple. Read the approval letter before celebrating the approval. The written conditions can be just as important as the word approved. The buyers are waiting while life keeps moving. 3 weeks pass. Marcus calls Daniel and asks whether he should lock his interest rate. Elena is worried about extending their apartment lease. Their lender wants updated financial documents. Marcus has also found another house online and wonders whether he can simply walk away from David's transaction if short sale approval takes too long. Daniel should not respond, "Sure, short sales aren't binding until the bank approves them." He needs to review the actual contract and applicable addenda before discussing the buyer's options. Short sale transactions involve uncertainty, but uncertainty does not give an agent permission to invent contractual rights. If Marcus and Elena have a right to cancel under their agreement, Daniel can explain the applicable provision. If the answer involves a disputed legal interpretation, he should involve his designated broker and recommend legal counsel when appropriate. This is one reason setting expectations at the beginning matters so much. Buyers need to understand that short sale approval can take time and that no agent should guarantee how quickly a creditor will make a decision. Documentation becomes the agent's best friend. Ashley now has communications involving David, Michael, the loan servicer, title, escrow, Daniel, and potentially the second lien holder. If she handles everything through scattered text messages and memory, the transaction will become nearly impossible to manage. Instead, she maintains an organized record showing what was submitted, when it was submitted, what additional documents were requested, what deadlines are approaching, and what responses have been received. This may seem administrative, but it is also risk management. If David later asks why approval took 6 weeks, Ashley can show the timeline. If the lender claims it never received a document, she has a record of the submission. If an approval contains a closing deadline, the team can immediately calendar it. AAC R4-28-1101 places important duties on Arizona licenses in dealing with clients and protecting their interests. In a complicated transaction, organization and communication are part of professional representation. Now, the lender wants the file. Ashley finally receives the request she has been expecting. The loan servicer wants David's complete short sale submission. It requests information concerning his hardship, finances, the purchase contract, estimated transaction figures, and authorization to communicate with appropriate parties. The lender may also want its own valuation of the property. David looks at Ashley and asks, "Why do they need to know all of this? They already know I can't make the payments." Michael explains that the lender isn't simply deciding whether it feels sorry for David. It is evaluating a financial proposal and determining whether accepting less than the amount owed is an option it is willing and authorized to approve. That means the quality and completeness of the short sale package can matter enormously. In Section 11, we'll open David's short sale file and examine what lenders commonly request, why hardship letters matter, how BPOs and appraisals can influence the process, and how one missing document can send a transaction right back to the bottom of the pile. Online discussion 1. Marcus and Elena ask Daniel whether their contract is meaningless until David's lender approves the short sale. How should Daniel approach the question? Answer: Daniel should review the actual purchase contract and applicable short sale addendum rather than making a blanket statement. The buyer and seller may have contractual obligations between themselves, while creditor approval remains a separate condition affecting whether the transaction can ultimately close. Their specific rights depend on the executed documents. 2. A loan servicer representative tells Ashley that David's file looks good. Why shouldn't Ashley announce that the short sale is approved? Answer: An encouraging conversation is not necessarily final approval. Short sale approval should be evaluated through the required written documentation because the creditor may impose conditions involving price, closing deadlines, costs, proceeds, or other transaction terms. Ashley should wait for and carefully review the actual approval. 3. Why is detailed record keeping particularly important in a short sale transaction? Answer: Short sales can involve numerous parties, document requests, submissions, deadlines, and approval conditions. Detailed records help the agent track what has occurred, respond to lender requests, communicate accurately with the client and other parties, and demonstrate how the transaction was managed if a question or complaint later arises.